Hey, look at this. This is a cool prop. What kind of video props are better than bottles of alcohol and different ones? I've got Medavacha, Orovacha, gin. I've got Krushka. I've got vodka. I've got Dunya. I've got another Dunya. I've got Shlivovic. I've got Kaisia, all from Perun in India. The owner came here the other day. He's a friend of mine, and I'm actually going to start working for them. I'm going to be selling their products in the United States of America, so he brought me one of each. So, can't beat that, huh? Anyway, my friends, I'm here today to answer some just random questions. There's a young man from Romania. He studied here in Serbia. I assisted him in finding an apartment, and he messaged me the other day and asked if I would answer some questions. He wanted me to answer some questions because he knows I travel a lot. And he's starting a travel blog in Romania, and he thought it would be great to interview somebody like myself who travels quite frequently and who has found a new home, if you will, here in the Balkan part of Europe. So I'm going to answer these as quickly and as thoroughly as humanly possible. These are strictly my opinions, and the first thing that comes off of my head. I didn't do any sort of studying on this because I don't have time for any of that. So I'm just letting it flow like I do everything, okay? There's some people that nitpick my videos. Oh, how come you didn't research this and research that? I don't care, okay? I tell it what comes off my head here. I don't have time to just sit and research everything. I've got like a million other things to do. So these are strictly my opinions. If you don't like it, go to a different channel. Here is question number 1. For the beginning, tell us, who is Charles Cather? Who is Charles Cather? Charles Cather is a 43-year-old smacker, beautiful gentleman, very likable, outgoing, fun, friendly, people person. I've always excelled at sales. I'm from the great state of Illinois, right in the heart of the Midwest, United States of America. I grew up on a farm. My father was a big farmer and owned a construction company, farmed corn and soybeans. Illinois is the second largest corn producer and second largest soybean producer in the United States, and my dad farmed both. My mother worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture for years and years until she retired. Cool things about me. On my father's side, I'm related to Abraham Lincoln, and that's the state motto is Land of Lincoln of Illinois. His boyhood home is about 20 minutes from where I was born. Abraham Lincoln, that's where he moved. He was actually born in Kentucky, but he moved to Illinois, where he was a senator. So he is like a distant cousin of mine. We're related to his mother, which is really interesting stuff. And on my mom's side, we're related to Daniel Boone. If you're American, you know Daniel Boone. He was like our traveler, our explorer, explored the West. But I'm related to him also, which is really, really neat. So those are 2 people that I'm related to that are interesting. And what else about me also? My number 1 goal, I have no desire for marriage or kids or being stuck down to one place. My number 1 goal in my life is visiting every single country out there. That's my goal. That's what I want to do. That's what excites me. That's what, when I wake up in the morning, that's what makes me think, yes, I'll continue this life. I also love baseball. I'm a diehard Minnesota Twins fan. I have a tattoo here, and here, all Minnesota Twins. I'm a political junkie. I've always been interested in American politics, the dirty, nasty side of it. And I have a very different political leanings than most of my Serbian friends here. When I'm in the USA, I do, than most of the Serbians. What else? That's enough about me. For years and years, I worked in automobile sales management. I was in sales management. I was in insurance sales. I worked as a radio DJ at Hot 104.3 WCBH. It's an old station from a small town I lived in. And what else? I was a camp counselor before. I volunteered and lived in Mexico at an orphanage, and then I worked at another school, and then I moved to Serbia. Question 2. When did you first start Untitled Chapter? When you made the first step, okay, I'm just reading his stuff word for word, it's incorrect here, so I gotta translate it. When you make the first, he probably meant to say, when did you make your first step to start traveling, and what was motivating you to do it, and how many countries have you visited? I'm at 45 right now. Coronavirus screwed me up because as of right now, by June 1st, I was supposed to have been, we're at the 21st of May. So by May 21st, I was supposed to have been at 47 because this year I was going to Iceland and Greenland. Who goes to Greenland? It was going to be a really expensive trip, and I'm glad I didn't book it early, but that's where I was going to go before I was in the USA. But now I'm at 45 countries. That's where I'm at. When did you first start traveling? My dad is like, I got all that from my dad. My dad told me, he said, Charles, if I wouldn't have gotten married to your mother, I would currently be in Brazil. He was going to purchase a farm in Brazil because back in the early 70s, you could buy land in Brazil for almost nothing, for American salaries and everything, you know. So he planned on, he's a big farmer in the state of Illinois, corn and soybeans, but he was going to go down there and just purchase big lots and lots of acreage and do corn and soybeans and a banana farm. So ever since we was young and kids, he's always like been interested in traveling, mainly USA. So we were like Chevy Chase family. Have you seen the movie Vacation? They have a big station wagon and a van. They get in it and they just go everywhere. And me and my brothers and sisters were always like, oh God, like family vacation, you know. But now that I look back, it was so great because I got to see all but 6 states. Yeah, I've been to every state except 6: Alaska, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, Idaho. No, I've been to Idaho. Anyway, it's 6 states. 2 of them on the East Coast. Maybe I don't know. It doesn't matter, but I know I've clicked them off, checked them off the other day. So I've been all but 6 states. We just did that every summer. Pile us in, we go for 2 weeks and stay in different states and see things. So that's what really got me addicted to traveling and seeing different strange things. Loved it. What motivates you to do it? What motivates me to do it? That's my driving thing. Just to see what's on over the other side of the hill, on the other side of that river, to see how those people live and what makes them tick, things like that. That's what motivates me. And I find it most interesting to go to those places where nobody else wants to go. Where you don't have hordes of people with their cameras, you know, clicking. I like that just place. Like my dream vacation is Chad, you know, going to Chad. I was already in Somalia, but Chad I think would be so cool because nobody goes to Chad. Nobody knows anything about Chad, you know. It's deserty, it's bad, there's no infrastructure. So I'm judging it already, how rude. But this is what I'm interested in. And my first trip by myself internationally, first country I went to internationally was Mexico with my mother and father. We used to live in Corpus Christi, Texas. We lived right there by the beach for a while. And so I went to Mexico. That's when I was in 1st grade. And then after that, we went to Canada probably, 6 or 7 times. Canada to me was never anything that special. I mean, it was clean and pretty and nice, but I mean, it's too much like the United States. Everybody spoke English. We went to Ottawa, and that was French speaking, and Montreal. But you know, it's pretty nice. We saw some Indian villages and stuff that was cool, but to me, I never that interested into Canada. My first solo trip by myself was in 1998. I went for at Christmas, I went to New Zealand and Australia, all by myself. I was going to go with my best friend, and like day we were going to get our tickets. Back then, that's a long time ago, before I bought them on the internet. Went to a travel agent. Day before, my friend called me and said, Charles, I hate to tell you this, I can't go. I was like, man, I'll pay for you. I can't. I'm scared. I don't want to leave the US. My mom was pissed. She didn't want me to go by myself, but I did it. Long story short, awesome experience. Loved Australia and New Zealand. After that, it was like, I got to see more. Question 3. How did your friends and family react when you told them that you will go work in a country like Serbia? And how do you manage to adapt from the USA to Serbia? Firstly, how did my parents react when I told them I was coming here to work? Well, they thought it was lunacy to work anywhere outside the United States, because most Americans think that the United States is by far the best place to be and to live the American dream. But how did my parents first react when I told them I was coming here is different. I told my parents, I knew very little about Serbia. I met a Serb on a Facebook page called I Hate the USA. I was in my office January of 2010. A sales guy came in. He said, Charles, have you heard about a Facebook page called I Hate the United States? At that time, I was a big American patriot. I was there in the heartland being fed all this propaganda that we're the best, we're the greatest. No other country even comes close to us and our greatness. And we do everything for the good of the world. That's what I always thought. And then when I heard somebody hated us, I thought, what? How can they hate us? So I saw this guy named Dragon, fought with him, called him names. He called me names. We finally, thank God, I kept communicating with him. Because once we started communicating, he said, add me on Skype. We talked on Skype video call. I saw his girlfriend. He met my girlfriend. So my friends came together, his friends, and we just talked. I was like, man, real good person. He invited me to visit Serbia May 28, 2010. So I came over here all by myself to meet somebody I met on a Facebook page. I hate the USA. Try telling your mother that. You ask how my parents felt. Try telling your mother, who worked for your country's government. My mother worked for the Department of Agriculture. Try going to your mother and tell her you're going to meet somebody on the other side of the world that you met on a Facebook page called I Hate Your Country. And that's how your mom would react, just like my mom did. My mom thought it was absolute lunacy, that I would lost my mind. Who does that? You don't do that. You don't meet somebody that hates you. I said, yeah, but we talked about it. They had a reason, I want to see their country. So thought it was a horrible idea. My parents are good people. They don't judge people, other nationalities, other religions or anything, but they thought it was concerning to go somewhere where you don't know anybody. It's a different religion. And then my mom even looked it up. She said, oh my God, we had a war with them. They'll probably kill you. You're going to meet somebody that hates you. That was that. I did it. And I'm happy I did it. If I wouldn't have encountered that Serbian, if I would have just blocked him, deleted him, I don't know where I would be today. The last 10 years has revolved around this country, eating this country, breathing this country, befriending people from this country. Now all my best friends are all Serbian. The things I know the most about are Serbia. So if that strange encounter with that ass wouldn't have happened, I don't know where I would be. How did I adapt? That was your other question. How do I adapt to Serbia? I've adapted very well here, and I actually feel more at home here than I do in the United States. And that's a really sad thing when you think about it. I feel when I go back to I've heard lots of expats say this. People say when you go back to, after living abroad for years, when you go back to your homeland, you feel like a stranger, and yet in your new country, you're still a stranger. Regardless, because of course I don't speak Serbian language. So that has been the biggest issue that I've had adapting here. So there's certain people that I can't communicate with. And the reason I don't, it's pure laziness, honestly. I've never taken a class. I've never attempted to speak the language. So there's a lot of people that said, how can you say you love this country? You haven't even bothered to learn it. Very true. I'm ashamed and I'm embarrassed because I've got an extreme fear of failure. Terrified that I'll go to a class and I'll look like an idiot. And every time I try to speak and hear people will go, and I feel like just a child. And the other thing, to adapt here, you don't need to speak Serbian language because the Serbian people are intelligent. Okay? That's how I've lived here for 10 years. They're smart. They understand. And on my behalf here, if there's any sort of justification, the program that I run here that sends students to the USA, my job here is to get these 1,000 students to speaking comfortably in English language, to get them to break their barriers and be able to communicate and to do well in an interview with an American business owner and manager, because that's my job. I teach these students how to do well in an interview with an employer. I hire some of the students interview with me. And I'm very strict because I know my employers, I know what they're looking for, what Verlina they're looking for. So I get the students to speaking my language. And a lot of students are like, oh, I feel stupid. You can't feel stupid. You've got to do it. So I'm like the, do as I say, not as I do kind of guy, And then when I go out with my friends love to speak English with a native speaker. They're practicing, so they enjoy it. So sometimes my friends will say, tonight, it's Serbia, Charlie. It's laziness, pure laziness. Other than that, adapting here is very easy. Especially here, I've lived in 8 different towns, cities. Novi Sad is where I found my place. It's laid back, it's slow, and everything is about social. It's being social, and I'm a very social guy. Just like tonight, I have to juggle 3 different people who message me to see them. Everything revolves around spending time, not chatting here, but sitting down face to face, smoking a cigarette for most of them because I don't smoke. I smoke nargila, drinking a coffee or a beer for 3 hours, and just talking about your problems, your life, and just everything. Just watching the sunrise and the sunset and just enjoying your life. Trying to figure out how you can make it to the next day. So adapting, when you talk about adapting into a different country, the biggest crutch typically is social. Your social feeling out of place as a foreigner. I do not feel that, even though I don't speak Serbian language. Enough people here speak it. All my close friends speak English, so I fit in perfectly. The Serbian mentality, they're very educated. They're easy to talk to. They're fun to talk to. They'll have some very stimulating conversations. Ladies, even here. You'll see a lady dressed like the queen, but she knows. You can talk to her about nuclear physics, which I don't know anything about, but she would. She can tell me all the cases in Serbia, and I don't understand it, So you can have some great conversations with just good people. You have to get into their little bubble, though. And for some people that aren't extremely social and outgoing like me, that can be a little bit difficult. Because here, when you go into a bar, you go in somewhere, Serbians are always in their little group, And to get in that little group sometimes can be a little bit difficult. Unless you're a foreigner like me who speaks English, and then most of them are like, hey, do you want to sit here? Sit with us. But all of it's based on you. I think everything's based on that. Some people go to a country and they say, oh, everybody was rude. I've never really had that extreme to say that. Almost everywhere I've been, people have been nice. Why? Because I'm usually nice to them. France, some people said they didn't speak English, but, so be it. They should be proud. They're proud of their language. They don't want to have to speak my language. But food-wise, adaptation, perfect. The kitchen here fits me perfectly. Very meat-based country. And just everything is tasty. The roasting, which is how I eat, I love it. Vegetables here are fresh. You taste a tomato here in Serbia and you eat one in the USA, it's night and day. What else? Adapting as an American here, a lot of people think that would be a big issue because we have a very fresh conflict here. My country killed over 2,000 people, innocent people here in this country. Destroyed every bridge, destroyed hospitals and schools, just did some ungodly, nasty things here. But, so many people say, how do you live there? Don't they hate you? No. Some people do, yes. I get that. Still to this day, I post a video, there's people, get out of this country. Of course, that's going to happen, I was on a train once going to Subotica. We were speaking English, and one guy went through screaming profanities. English. Very angry. Just disgusted by me. Went into the next train car. But that is very rare. A guy yelled at me in a park in Sremska Mitrovica, a drunk young kid, because I was speaking English. He said, why'd you bomb my country? I said, sir, I didn't bomb anybody. I was in university and working. at that time. So you're going to get it, but people like foreigners here. You're treated a step up from a local here in Serbia, which is different from most countries. Most countries, if you're a foreigner, they're like, oh. Here, you're like, oh, foreigner? Come into my home, eat my food, sleep in my house. I'll sleep on the floor, you can sleep on my bed. That happens so many times here. When I visited some poorer friends. I've got friends here that are very wealthy, I've got some who are very poor. And they said, my sister will sleep on the floor, use her bed. No, I'm not gonna do that. Where's the hotel? No, you're not staying at a hotel, you're staying at my house. Mom and dad who had to suffer hyperinflation, everything, lack of employment, death of friends and family. They're the ones that are responsible for teaching their kids this hospitality. They're the ones that thrive on, live their life by being extremely hospitable. They're the ones that are going to tell their son, they don't speak my language. They're going to say to their son or daughter, tell him he's staying here. He's not staying in a hotel. Tell him he's eating here. And he's not just eating a little, he's eating more and more and more and more and drinking more and more and more. We're going to give him whatever he wants because that's how they are here. So for me, it was easy to adapt here. I've had very little hate, just lots of love. Question 4. I know you've been asked this question a lot, and a lot of videos about it, but what do you like most about Serbia? Serbia, I've been to 45 countries. I've lived in this country for nearly 10 years. Half the year I live here, half the year I live in the United States. I work here. I've worked here for 6 years. For the first four years, I didn't do anything. I just lived on my money. I had about 20 grand or something in savings. I spent it. I just lived in Sremska Mitrovica, Niš, Zrenjanin. So it was very cheap. I could barely find a way to spend $600 a month in those small cities. But what do I like the most? Well, out of everything, out of everywhere I've been, there's a reason I stayed here. It's not because of work. A lot of people say, oh yeah, because you're making so much money off there. Get real. I could stay in the USA and make a ton. The main reason I'm here is because this country, this sounds really cheesy and ass-kissy, but the people, I just really adore the people. I feel like I am part of this country and this city and this society. Even though I'm an American, I don't speak the language, I'm not Orthodox Christian like most folks here are, but I feel part of this society now. When you're a foreigner in some of the small towns, everybody gets to know you. And I do videos. I didn't do video to become a popular person. I did it because I couldn't find any videos on Serbia in 2010 when I came over here. And when I travel to a different country, I like to look up the country. Americans in Mauritius, to see what they have to say about the prices, safety, everything. I couldn't find it here, so I started it. But then in a little town, you're in there, everybody knows you. So you walk through, hey, Charles, hey, there's that American. Hey, come over here, sit here. Just nice. I was popular in my community, in my school. I was voted in high school. I got 3 awards. We always have awards at the end of the year. I got loudest mouth, believe it, most school spirit, and what was it? Best dressed, or it was something else. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. But I won three things at the time. So it was popular there. But here, it's just the people. I'm fitting in well, and the lifestyle here. The lifestyle is like no other that you will find throughout the USA. You walk outside here, and there's people everywhere. There's cafes, outdoor cafes everywhere. You can just sit down for 4 hours here at this table and not be rushed off. You can go out till 5 in the morning. Nobody's going to care. I can sit out here in the middle of the street at 3, 4 in the morning drinking a bottle of wine, whiskey, one of these bottles. Police aren't going to care. They don't stop you for that unless you're being an idiot. I can go out at 3 in the morning here, withdraw money from the ATM, and not have to worry about being mugged and robbed and shot. the ladies here are very pretty. They're very good genes here. Tall people, thin, slim, long legs. The food is great. The prices, if you look at it from an expat's point of view, I've been to 45 countries. The best countries to live in for me are Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro. I thought about this the other day because it's easy to speak English, to get around if you don't speak their language. They're centrally located, so it's easy to go to any other country in Europe quickly, easy, and cheaply. The prices for housing here are very, very low for expats, for people who work and have a good money. Serbians, it's bad. There's problems here if you're a Serbian, but I don't have to fight all the problems that they do. So that's why I don't talk about a lot of those negative issues. I'm a positive person. But the pricing, I live here, it takes me 5 minutes to get to work. I don't have to drive here in Serbia. That's another benefit of living here, thing I like. The bus service is quick, it's efficient, it's cheap, and it goes everywhere. I can go to a little village with 15 people. There's going to be a bus going there. In the USA, unless you're in like Chicago, New York, or someplace like that, you're not going to be able to get anywhere. Towns of under 50,000 in the USA don't have a bus. They don't have a train. They don't have anything. They don't even barely have sidewalks, because everybody drives. Here, this society is not based on that. You can go places in a taxi. I live 2 minutes from here. It takes me 2 minutes to walk to work. If I want to walk to the bus station, it's 15 minutes. Everything's 15 minutes around here. You've got a whole center street that's just for walking. It's not for cars. And that's something the United States doesn't have, So those are some of the, also the other thing, and this sounds kind of silly and cheesy, possibly. The other thing I really like about Serbia is Serbia has always been looked down upon, This is a country that when you go around the world, and I travel a lot, and I talk to a lot of people, okay? I'm a social guy. And they'll say, when I'm in the USA, I'll say, I meet people at my jobs there in Nantucket, very upscale, fancy place. I'll say, yeah, I live here in the summer, I live in Europe in the winters. Oh, you live in Europe in the winters? Wow, where do you live? Milan, Italy, Paris, France. No, I live in Serbia. Serbia, Most American people, they don't know where that is. They think it's part of Russia, of course, Siberia. We don't hear about Serbia so much. But most people on the East Coast, there's a lot of very intelligent folks. They're like, oh, Serbia. Oh, isn't there a war going on there with the Muslims? And didn't they kill a lot of Muslims and stuff like that? Always that way. Travel anywhere else in the world. Say Serbia. Oh, Serbia. There's always that kind of stigma attached. So that's what I like also. I like to live in a country because we have issues. So I came here to see, why do they hate America? And I saw it, and I can see my country from the outside. I can see how other countries treat these people here, these great people who've never been treated better anywhere else in the world. And so the rest of the world's looking down at it, I think, in a negative light. You can agree with me or not. This is strictly my opinion, but most of the time that's the case when they hear it, because they're judging Serbia strictly by the 1990s. They're not looking back at the past when things were beautiful and there was some really good positive things that happened here. No, they judge Serbia because of the 1990s, because they tried to keep their country together. So to me, that's kind of a neat thing, and that's something I like. I live in a country that some people are like, oh, why? They're mean. No, they're not. I remember when I was a kid in the library. This tells you how America is. Not putting America down. I'm very proud American. But when I was a little kid, went to the library, I've always been infatuated with other countries. And usually those countries we were told, ooh, they're bad. Because I grew up during the Cold War. So I would check out a book on the USSR, on Cuba, on China, communists, Vietnam. The librarian one day, she told me, she said, Charles, she said, now why don't you, Charlie, she called me Charlie. Charlie, why don't you get more books like on America instead of those? Because I used to check out those all the time. She thought it was creepy. That was the time when they thought everybody was like, or close to the time, McCarthy, when they accused everybody of being, no, I'm not that old, but it's what made me think of it. You know, everybody thinks, oh, he's a communist, you know. So I've always had that interest in the forbidden fruit, if you will. Serbia was somewhat of a forbidden fruit, but it's not. So that can come out badly. But I enjoy that, you know. And I try to do everything I can to show. That's why I have 1,000 videos. I show the positivity here. I don't talk about the negativity. I show that this country's not a forbidden fruit, you know. But I want it to stay that way because I don't want all the foreigners coming here.